right, well, welcome everybody. We are here. We come every week. I like to bring on different guests to provide value, right? This is the Virtual Entrepreneurs page. My name is Brian Mara. Very excited about the guest that we have today. We have Danielle. Danielle is a very good friend of mine. We're also business associates. And the topic today that I wanted to bring to all of you is how to develop a seven-figure mindset. And what a better way to share some ideas with you than bring on a seven-figure earner, okay? But Danielle, first of all, how are you? Good morning, good afternoon.
Fantastic. How are you doing?
Good, real good. You were not always a seven-figure earner, obviously.
No.
So for those of the people watching maybe on the replay or live with us here today, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to where you are today?
So I've been in Connecticut since I was born. I'm a mom of two, and my daughter's just graduating from URI this month, so I'm very excited for that. She's going into the world of medicine. I'm very proud of her, and I have a son who's going to be going into the high school very soon. So for me, being an entrepreneur has been something that's come naturally to me since I was young. I started 3 small businesses before the age of 31. Really learned the hard way about brick and mortar and what that's like. Became a licensed real estate professional after my dad, my grandfather, my aunt, and so many others back in 2004. Probably not the smart time to get into real estate. Started flipping houses, making money, and then Katrina and Rita hit and gas prices went through the roof. And I was pregnant with my son at the time, and it was out of control. Realized very quickly that you can have multiple streams of revenue, but if your main stream of revenue falls apart, which was construction and real estate, and you're on a commission-based type income, it can put you into a devastating circumstance. So even though I've always loved being an entrepreneur and I love starting businesses and employing people and free enterprise, I have learned the hard way that passive income is really king. And I've had to work very hard to build something that would pay me even when I'm sleeping. So that's how I kind of morphed into where I am today. But it's been an incredible ride. I've learned a lot over the years. And, you know, starting a small business takes a lot of courage. Starting 3 is pretty crazy. But they were all small businesses that were successful. And I'm very proud of that. And it took a lot of hard work. But you know what? Better than the 9-to-5 and better than making someone else rich. So,
yeah. And you know, one of the things that I always share when I talk about my story is I think it's important for people to know, you know, sometimes people will see you at a position of success and, you know, I think a lot of times people don't talk enough about that. So I always talk about the fact that I had stage 4 terminal cancer. I always talk about, you know, I've been divorced, bankrupt, my home has been foreclosed on. And I think it's important to relate to people that way. And it's safe to say you've had your own struggles. Do you want to share a little bit about some of the struggles you've gone through?
yeah, I mean, 100%. I don't learn from anyone that hasn't been through the fire. And I don't want to have a mentor that hasn't been in the pit of hell and then had a victorious outcome. That's literally who I follow. Outside of my faith in God, I follow people like Les Brown. And this morning I was listening to some Tony Robbins. I want to learn and emulate and grow every day, but I've been through hell. And I've learned the hard way that if you think like the masses and you don't break out of your poverty mindset and you continue to think the wrong way and not declare that you will be a success in your mind before it becomes a reality, then you're going to struggle. We went through a lot. My former husband and I were together 15 years, and got to tell you, when the '08 crash hit, it decimated us. And everything, our life savings was gone. Just to keep the business afloat and keep people employed, we went $750,000 into debt, and I thought we'd never crawl out. I thought it would take decades to crawl out of it. Some people are still recovering from that. A lot of people are. But I didn't want to live like that. And then I grew up, you know, with a single mom who was one heck of a fighter. And she came from nothing, but she taught me the power of hard work and faith. And I watched her never be able to really be home because of her running having 3 small kind of part-time jobs that she was running from, waitressing and part-time office. And my dad was no longer in the picture. He was addicted to alcohol. It was just a really tough time growing up, but I always had it in me. Like, I knew beyond knew, and this is so important for everyone listening. I knew beyond knew that one day I was going to make it. And it's in the knowing. Like Les Brown says, it's in the knowing. If you in deep within you know that you're going to make it happen, it doesn't matter what it looks like on paper. It doesn't matter how decimated you are financially, how broken your spirit is. If you know beyond know, then you can manifest great things, and good things can come to you if you're speaking those things into existence. But yes, recently going through a divorce, one of the most horrible things to break your children's hearts, and to find the courage to start over and leave with nothing, literally walked out the door with nothing, but fought back and found a way to, you know, just dig deep within myself to put myself back together and say, I'm not going to let this be the chapter of my life that ends up being the chapter of my life that I look back on and regret. I want it to be the chapter I look back on and say, that was my turning point. And it took a lot of people around me and a lot of prayer to say to myself, you can do this. I wasn't the only person. I can't give myself all that credit. I had people around me who spoke into my life and said, you can do anything you want with your life, Danielle. This is not the end, it's a beginning. And, you know, you wake up and you can beat yourself up with the mistakes you've made in the past. And you can literally look in that rearview mirror like I did for years, or you can rip that thing off, huck it out the window and say, the past is not serving me well anyway, so I might as well create the best future and the best present. I'm finally living in the present, like living in the moment. I've realized, I know with your story about stage 4 cancer, I've told your story many times, and it's so true. We're either looking forward to the future or we're looking back at the past, and we're never really present. Yeah. And I started putting my phone down at dinner and not using, I do not pick it up at dinner. I do not pick it up when we're having family time, for the most part. I try my best to be present because we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. And that has been a huge lesson for me, is to not let reaching these goals and these dreams for me and my family and for others to take me away from, you know, looking out at what a beautiful day it is today, or going for a walk, or just sitting there and just being present. And that's been huge for me as well.
Yeah, I'm just writing a couple things down. I want to make sure I don't forget to ask you. You said something a few minutes ago, I think it was important. You talked about knowing, and you knew.
I knew.
What would you say to the people who maybe don't know? And furthermore, how did you know? Was that something that your parents or your mother instilled into you? Were you just born with it? Like, how did you know?
So when we were at our worst and we were losing everything, and I was hiding my car from the repo guy back in 2010 and 11, when we had to sell our gym because we knew we needed liquidity just to keep the construction afloat, when we knew that, you know, the house we were flipping may not sell and we were going to be sitting on all of that debt. I remember my ex-husband walking in the room that morning when he was leaving, and he looked gray. And I remember thinking, oh my God, what if all of this stress kills him? Mm. And I remember crying out to God and saying, as long as my family is okay, my kids are healthy and we're healthy, I'm okay with living in a cave. I don't need anything else, God. Just keep us healthy. I mean, this is too much stress though. I need you to just show us a way. And then network marketing came into our lives. And of course, I didn't know that was the way. I thought, you know, I dismissed it. But I remember just that turning point where I said, I can't live like this ever again. I will do whatever it is to become financially free, to dig out of debt, because stress of any kind can really tax the body and your spirit. But I'll tell you something, when you are floating in debt and you feel like you can't get out, it suffocates you, it drains you. People say money can't solve problems. It can solve about 98% of them. And I don't worship money, okay? But money provides a way to live a lifestyle and to help others. And so money's a mean to an end, right? An end. But for me, that was my turning point. Brian, I remember being like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to become financially free. I'm going to become the person I need to be. I'm going to do the hard work that people aren't going to do. I'm going to get up early and go to bed late. And I'm going to work those 60, 70, 80-hour weeks while I was doing other things, raising kids. And I'm Italian and Greek. I cook, I clean, I do the grocery, you know. Yeah. I don't just sit back and just do my nails and my makeup. You know, it was like literally a messy bun, run around the house, and then get on that phone and build my empire. And it started small. And then it grew and it grew and it grew. And I kept saying, even when it would go down and would go up, it never goes straight up for an entrepreneur, right? In the valleys, I kept saying to myself, and this is really truly what the key is. I said, there is nothing that's going to keep me from achieving this goal. I know it's going to happen for me. And I want people to understand it's in the knowing. It's in that moment where you have convinced yourself that there is no plan B, that there is no way you're going to fail unless you're dead. And so for me, it was a decision to do what I had to do and listen to the people that knew it. I went to the people who've done it before me. I didn't try to figure it out. I didn't try to recreate the wheel. I started watching every free YouTube video from every top networker and every entrepreneur on what my mind needed to be like. It needed to be like a garden without weeds. And I knew if I just listened to them and I just did the things they did and I just found the courage every day, because I was terrified to build a business, that it would happen. So you have to know, and you better start declaring it to yourself that you will, because it takes courage and perseverance to create any type of income on your own. And if you want to build something to 7, 8 figures or more a year, you want multi-millions, let me tell you something. It is absolutely critical that you keep your mind clear of the weeds, just like Jim Rohn says. You have to devastate those weeds. I'm sure you do. I'm sure you have days. I have days where, the thoughts don't come in the way they should and doubt comes in, but I know exactly what to do. I counteract those thoughts with the stuff that my mentors have taught me. If I have to immerse myself in a book or I have to go and sit and just talk to God, I do it to get my mind right, because when my mind is right, everything falls into place. It all starts and ends here. Your success happens here. You make your millions here first. You have your successful business transactions here first. And then when it's happened here and you've seen it in your mind's eye, then you hold it in your hand, as Bob Proctor says. And if you don't know Bob Proctor, you got to know him, because he's amazing.
So the journey, I think that was a great answer to the question. So your knowing, if you will, and the decision that you made to completely change your life around really started, safe to say, when you were at one of your lowest points, right?
Pit of hell. Absolutely.
Okay. And
Pit of hell.
You started in the network marketing business, direct sales.
Reluctantly. Yeah,
right?
I thought it was such a joke. I was skeptical.
But I'm glad you brought that up, because it's really interesting. This is how we met in our mutual network marketing company, which is the first time I've ever done this in my life. I'm 45 years old. And my story was similar to yours in the real estate background, et cetera. And I had been approached by different companies, and I just never really gave it a serious look. And I really, maybe it was out of ignorance or possibly even arrogance or ego, like Chris Cabadon says, I just dismissed it. I was very dismissive of the whole industry. I was wrong. I mean, I was completely wrong. And learning that the people, it's so funny, right? And you live your life in this tunnel, or, you're just going down your path, knocks you off and you have to look another way, But what made you decide to look into the industry in general? Because you never did it before either.
I had been approached over the years about every pocketbook party and every, I heard about Herbalife parties and shake parties, and,
right?
new skin parties. I was like, stay away, So I was that girl, which is what's so ironic about it, is now I'm like the network marketing queen. Like, there is no greater industry, right? But when I was approached, it was because the people who approached me, which was my accountant and his wife, who still are to this day, good friends of ours, live a couple towns over from me. They were in a network marketing company. They had great success at a time the company was going through momentum, but they really didn't try hard. So they were like, this is great. They decided to leave that company as the momentum was going down, and they started in a new company, and they called me. Debbie showed up at the gym I owned and said, with a really shoddy, terribly copied piece of paper with a picture of a doctor on it. And it wasn't even like there was toner left. And it was just about the doctor and the products. And it was natural products, pharmaceutical grade. And I remember going, all right, I'll take a look. She goes, you're dynamic and you're driven. Lou and I think you can take this and run with it. The company just started 18 months ago. Timing's everything, Danielle. Just look, we know you have a financial issue and we know this might help you. She didn't say it was going to solve the problem. She goes, but we think it's your ticket out. And when I heard that, I was like, But I was the skeptical one. I went home to my non-entrepreneurial husband at the time, total blue collar, put it on the counter, didn't tell him about it for 1 week. And I'll never forget it. The phones were ringing because we had phone lines besides cells. And I remember the phones ringing on the business line through the house and then the home phone because the creditors were calling. And that night, a week after she introduced me to it, I remember laying there in our bed, not being able to sleep. And he didn't sleep much either. He tossed and turned a lot because, I mean, things were so bad. I mean, at one point, our church was putting food in our house, groceries, which is humiliating and humbling at the same time. But now I get to do the same for people. And it's such an amazing thing to pay it back 1,000-fold. Yeah. But I remember the phones ringing and I got so sick of it. I picked up the covers, threw them off, and I ripped the cord out of the wall. And he was like, great, I got to fix that now. I'm like, I don't even care. I'm tired of the phone calls. I don't want to hear it. We don't have money. Don't call me.
As well as I do, they can't call past 9 p.m.
I don't remember. It was probably somewhere around 8:30 or 9 because we were in bed drinking a $4 bottle of wine. That's how bad it was, right? I mean, I got good suggestions on $4 bottles of red wine. But I have to say, when that happened, he said to me the next day, I handed it to him and I said, Debbie and Lou handed this to me. What do you think? He looks at it. He barely read it. He goes, if it can bring us a little money right now and pay our car payment and maybe put groceries in the house, don't you think we should look? I think we should. I go, wow, I did not expect that from you because I expected him to poo-poo it. Right. So I have to give him the credit for us looking. But when we looked, it was a flip chart presentation at our table on Palm Sunday of April 2011. Guy with kind of short, spiked up, greasy hair showed up in a Prius with a Hawaiian t-shirt and shorts on. And I'm like, who is this guy? Supposedly was really, really well-to-do, right? And I was like, who is this character? And what is he doing at my table? And he's flip charting me. And he showed me one slide that made my heart start to beat for the first time in years. And it was a picture of what a company can do, which is go through a momentum phase. There's, formulation, there's the stabilizations at the end, stage 4, formulation in the beginning, and then there's a momentum phase, right? For some companies, not all. And he said, this is where you can have an unfair advantage where a lot of people, you're in the company before the masses hit. However, he said, you're going to need to work. If you think you're just going to hop in and someone's going to give you a paycheck, it doesn't work that way. My heart started to pound. He finished the presentation in like 12 minutes. I said, give us a minute. He left. I looked at my husband. I said to him, we're in, right? He goes, yeah. I said, where are we going to come up with $1,000? He goes, don't worry about it. We're so in debt right now. It's another $1,000. I was like, you're already in the ocean drowning. So what's another 1,000 on top of 750K? He goes, but I'm going to need it back quick because I'm taking it from my materials account for his construction. I'm like, oh, no sweat. On top of the 3 jobs I had at the time, eyelash extensions, running the gym, helping him run construction, raising kids. And I'm like, all right, I can do this at night at the table. By the way, I wasn't on social media then. And every night, 6 nights a week for that first 3 months, all I did was text and call people and said, don't know if you're interested or not. Don't know if you need health products. Know if you need money. But if you do, I highly suggest you look at this because I'm going to crush this. I was so sure. And I made 17 grand in my first 90 days. That's not normal. Broke a company record, not normal. I was ignorance on fire. Still don't know how it happened other than the grace of God and the fact that I was not going to stop. I was going to ask everyone I knew if they were interested. I didn't push. I didn't shove it down their throat. I said, take a look. And if it's a no, let me know. And if it's a yes, let's go. And I ran with it and it turned into something amazing. And before I knew it, bills were being paid and I was growing it. Were there ups and downs? Sure. Did people quit? Sure. Did people not make money? Sure. Did some people make a lot? Absolutely. But I learned a lot in that first company for 4 years. Then I looked around for a long time and I found a new one and I decided I'm going to dig deep and go for it, be courageous. I knew we had something great and I turned it into, with the help of a great team, turned it into something that set us free. So you can't fault the world. You can't fault the economy. You can't fault anyone. The only person you fault is yourself for missing out on opportunity. Opportunity presents itself regularly. Most people sit on their thumbs and say, maybe not, maybe this, I'm not good enough. I've been told my whole life that, I'm never going to make it. And yes, many people told me, Danielle, give up on your dreams. Danielle, stop chasing this thing. I was 8 years in this industry before I hit 7 figures a year. I was cumulative over $1 million at like the, 6-7 year mark, but I wasn't making 7 figures a year plus until I dug deep and said, why should I limit myself? And that came from the personal development. I'm limitless. So are you. My circumstances growing up, I grew up on food stamps, so don't talk to me about pain. I grew up in a very tough household with lots of dysfunction, like many of us. But I used that as an excuse to fail most of my life and to settle most of my life. And then one day I said, no more settling, no more using excuses. I have health, and as long as I have my health and faith in myself, and I take what God gave me and I run with it, everything else I can add to. I can learn, I can grow, but it's the excuses we make that keep us broke. It's not the economy, because there is money everywhere, as Danny Johnson says. You've got to go where the money is. You have to go after it with the ability in your mind to believe that you deserve it, that you can be successful. And then, and only then, does the law of attraction come into place. Then and only then can you manifest greatness, when you start putting others first and serving people. I just decided I'm going to help as many people as I can become successful. I'm going to forget about what I'm doing for my monthly income. I'm going to forget that fully, because I started reading books from people saying, don't worry about your income. The more people you serve, the more people you help get out of debt, the more people you give great products or services to, the more your income will grow. So I literally shifted away from that, Brian, and you know that too. You shift away from yourself and you focus on service. And the more you serve people, the more it serves you back. And it becomes this amazing thing. And so you give that gift out, as Les Brown says, you give to the world what you've learned. So I teach people daily how to set yourself free in the mind, and then how to set yourself free financially. But if you've got a poverty mindset and you grew up around broke people, I did, and you grew up on food stamps, or you grew up with nothing, or you grew up abused. I've heard so many horrific stories. Mine is too. We would all cry together if we sat together and told our stories. Everybody has a story, but is that story serving you well, or is it keeping you back? Is it holding you back from doing something great? And by the way, most of the greatest people we know, Julia Childs, some of the greatest successes in this world, did not hit that. They were dead broke until after the age of 40. They didn't write their first book. They didn't have their first massive success until after the age of 40. So if you think you're too old, you're wrong. It's amazing what happens when you stop limiting yourself, but it's here, right? So I spend more time on my mind than I do on my business. I have to. Because I know if I want to get to that next level, and I want to build an orphanage here in the US, and I want to, Scott and I talk about that all the time. We want to help rescue children from sex slavery. Yeah, I donate and stuff, but I want to be the one to literally build that house and be there that day when, it opens and those babies are being held and loved on and taught about real love. And I can't make that dream happen unless I go serve a lot of people. Right? And I help as many people as I can. And then you start realizing the more you give out, the more you become who you really are and who you were designed to be, the more you attract all this good stuff in. You're either blocking it or you're calling it in. Straightforward, that's the way it is. And that's why some people just stay stuck. And I refuse to stay stuck in life. Even when I have bad days, everyone does. I decide, all right, what did I get out of today? What did I need to do better? What should I have done to get my mind right and to set myself straight? Because no one's picking you up out of your pit. I hate to break it to you. Sorry to preach, but nobody's coming to rescue you. You've got to rescue yourself. God gave you 2 arms and 2 legs and a brain. He put smarts in your head, and he gave you the ability to work. And if you don't, I know people who are disabled who do better than most people around me, because they don't let their physical, mental, or spiritual limits stop them from achieving what they want in their heart. I don't know what's in your heart and what you want, but it can be yours. You just got to dig deep. It's in the knowing. Like, I know this. I know that no matter what happens, we're going to do big things. I know you are. You and Ilaria, it's just like I can sense when someone's in the zone. And if you haven't read Working with the Law, it is an incredible book that everybody should read. It changed my entire life. Working with the Law.
Write that down. Who's
Raymond Hollowell. And when you read the universal laws that are in place and you work with the laws instead of breaking those laws, it's mind-blowing. I did a whole series and taught about every law. I have a whole library on them, and it's been remarkable how many people have had breakthroughs.
So I don't think it's any coincidence that, as you increased your self-development, as you started putting more time into watching the videos that you mentioned, reading the books.
Yes.
Serving other people, taking your focus off of yourself, that's the shift of going from a 6-figure after all those years into a 7-figure earner.
100%. And, I didn't believe it. I listened to the Brendan Burchards of the world and the Tony Robbins and the Les Browns. I really didn't believe it until it started manifesting in front of me. I didn't really believe that if I just read those books and I used to do declarations and go, I'd read them off a piece of paper. I am worthy. I am good enough. I felt like such a fraud because I didn't believe anything on the paper. I am loved. I am healthy. I am whole. And I would be like, this is such crap. I really did. And then I'd do it the next day and I'd say it again. And I knew, because I read The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy, I knew that if I kept saying it, eventually my subconscious mind would take it in as truth. So I had to hammer those things into my head. And one day I didn't have to use the paper anymore because I could hear everything playing. And that's when you know your subconscious mind has taken root to those truths. So you literally have rewired your brain. And it's a daily practice. Look up Dr. Caroline Leaf. Neural pathways are real. Okay. Your thoughts are things. Read the book, Thoughts Are Things. And when I realized that, holy cow, my declarations are now here. All of a sudden, all these things started happening good for me. And it was like, it's happening because it's real. You have to say it. You have to have it be a part of your mindset. And you have to shift into the law of attraction, the law of receiving, there's so many laws that come into play when you have the right mindset.
You recommended a book a while ago. I forget, it was on some Facebook post, or I forget, maybe you were talking about it in the video. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza, right?
Yes.
Me, and I got the audio version. I prefer audio books, but that was
Me too.
one of the most profound books I've ever listened to. I mean,
Yes.
Unbelievable.
That book, Dr. Bruce Lipton and Dr. Joe Dispenza are, I've known them less than a year. I've been just scooping up everything I can to learn about them. But I resonate the most with their basically the theme that they teach is that we are wired in our brains. It is a computer. It doesn't have emotion. Your heart does, your brain doesn't. Your brain's a computer. Your mind tells your brain things, not the other way around. Your brain doesn't tell your mind. Your mind tells your brain what to go do in the body. So if you're telling yourself, I'm sick and tired, I don't feel good, it goes down and it manifests physically. It also manifests energetically. And when I started learning about energy as a Christian, I was like, oh, I've been told these things are so new age. God created everything. He created energy. Energy is real. Everything vibrates. It's scientific. It's not malarkey. It's real. And when you start to learn that as a human being, you're an energetic being. And the more you love and the more you get rid of anger and hatred and rage and sadness and shame and guilt, when you start shedding that stuff, you start to become just more full of life, more energetic. And you really do. You bring a presence to the room. There are people who are atmosphere changers because they've learned to heal themselves. They talk about healing. I talk about healing your heart and your emotions. When you talk about healing in general, a physical malady, as Dr. Bruce Lipton talks about and Dr. Joe Dispenza, they say it all is here in order to make this feel good and run better. So there's so much that people knowledge is power, but not if you're not going to take that knowledge and apply it. Yeah. Right?
Yep.
So.
And what about the people, I guess, I know there's people that are watching this with us today live or possibly on the replay that in the midst of all that we're going through as a nation, as a world, right? People are in a bad place. People have lost their jobs, the business owners, restaurant owners, et cetera, their businesses are effectively closed, hair salons, right? I mean, we can go through the whole list.
Yeah.
Doctors, I was speaking to my doctor actually this morning and he's not seeing patients. He's seeing a few by phone consults, but business is off 70%. So from a blue collar worker up to a professional doctor, whatever, right? People are hurting right now. And I think a lot of people more so than ever, Danielle, are looking to make a change, but a lot of them don't know what to do. A lot of them just don't know what to do. And I'm not talking about specifically a business vehicle. Obviously, if any of you are watching this and you want to learn about working from home or from your phone, like we say, reach out to me and I could help you with that. But when it comes to changing, because I think one of the most important things that you said is you need to change internally first. And some people don't quite know how to do that. So what are some practical steps to work on themselves?
So I've been through 2 market crashes. We had our house repossessed when I was graduating high school because my parents were in real estate, still are. So I've been through 2 market crashes and lived penniless on and off for most of my life, whether it was my parents or me, right? So I already know this too shall pass. I know that, yes, it's going to be hard and it's hard already for a lot of people. I get that. But I also know that on the bad days, that is the day you have to work the hardest to use gratitude. And you you have to do something like this. And it's something that I learned from Joyce Meyer. I can't take credit. And I'll never forget, it was when things were the worst back in 2010 and 11. And I remember hearing her say, shut your eyes. If this is the worst your life you think it's been, and you're in a bad place, I want you to give thanks. And I'm like, give thanks? Right now I can't even put food in my kids' tummies, but okay. And it was just like, really? And she said, the power of gratitude. It's the first time I ever learned about gratitude. We should be teaching children this in school. Mm-hmm. And mindset should be taught in school. And she said, absolutely 100% give thanks for the shoes on your feet if that's all you have, or the roof over your head. And it will shift your mood. So I did. So I shut my eyes, said, thank you for the house, even though we can't pay the mortgage. I'm thankful we still have it. I'm thankful that I have a car, even though I'm not paying the car note. And I'm thankful we're all healthy. And that's all I had that day. I didn't have anything else to be thankful for except for my parents were alive. And I think I said a few more things like, thank you that my sister, brother, blah, blah, blah. And I remember afterward going, the tightness in my chest started to leave and the anxiety started to go. And I realized that gratitude was one of the most powerful tools. And yesterday I posted something on Facebook that said, the job you hate is what someone's praying for. And I'm paraphrasing. The house you don't give thanks for, someone that's homeless would. And it went on and on, the relationship, whatever. And I thought to myself, yes, it's in the gratitude. It's in giving thanks for even the little things, because that is where the magic happens. And I have had a few bad days recently thinking about everything going on. And I have to say, it's been in the giving, just speaking it out, feeling it, not pushing it down, coming to terms with what am I feeling fear for or anxiety over, and then saying, I trust you, God, this too shall pass. And I'm grateful for everything I have right now and for all the people around me. I'm grateful for everyone's health. And it shifts you. So for me, that's been a real tool for me, is to use gratitude. I have a tool chest now of gratitude. For living a lifestyle. Forgiveness is a huge one. Every millionaire that I know says that one of their top things is the reason why they have what they have is because they live a lifestyle of forgiveness. And faith for me is a big one. If you don't have faith in yourself, let me tell you something, no one's going to have faith in you other than you or the people really close to you that adore you, regardless of where you're at in life. And if you need to borrow their faith in order to have faith in yourself, do it. I had people who had faith in me in this industry before I ever did. And I had to borrow that faith for a while. And then one day I realized, you know what? I can do this. And I am doing it. And I'm going to make it happen. And it's convincing your subconscious mind that you are limitless. You have everything you need, that you are worthy of goodness. You're worthy of greatness, and that you have everything in you. You are fully equipped to be victorious. You don't need another thing. You just need to fill your head with the good stuff and then watch the magic happen. It's pretty remarkable, but it is a difficult thing. Certain days, man, can your mind mess with you? It could be your worst weapon, or it could be your best weapon, and you have to tame the crap out of it. Because our mind, man, we can make the whole world end in one day in our head, right?
Yeah.
It's easy. It's easy to go downhill. It's easy to have weeds. It's harder to be disciplined in your mind, but that's where the big stuff is. That's where the 7 figures comes from. That's where the massive acceleration of success and growth comes from. That's where you leave a legacy for your family. But if you're not teaching your kids about what's up here, you know why people lose fortunes? It's been written in many books. Do you know why people who hit the lotto end up dead broke a year or two later? Because they never fixed their poverty mindset. They were programmed to be broke. You got to program yourself to know you are worthy of having everything out there, not for greed. And if you get it in a poor way, the working with the law says if you get things by hurting people or stealing, you'll lose it anyway. So it's a law. It's a universal law. But if you do it right and you do it from your heart, you can have an endless stream of everything that you need and want. And by the way, you have everything you need now. That's what you got to tell yourself, and then it will arrive. It's when you walk around feeling that you have poverty. Poverty is a mindset. Being broke, that's all right. You can be broke and not have a poverty mindset. So stop thinking that you have to be broke because your previous generations were. You can be the first one in your family to set everyone up for an incredible future. But it's really in that knowing, and I can't stress that enough. Get your mind fed daily. Water it. I fire hose my mind on some days. I know if it's going to be a good day when I wake up and my mind starts going, oh, I shouldn't have watched the news, or, oh, there's some stuff going on in the family. And then you start to go, uh-oh, I'm either going to go down or I'm going to make this a great day. And it is a discipline.
And I think I'm sitting here listening to you this whole time, and I swear I've heard everybody from Joyce Meyer and Tony Robbins and Joe Dispenza and Les Brown and Eric Thomas and all the other people that I listen to daily. I'm like, I know where she got that. I know where she got that. I know where she got that. So not to take away from you, but I think this is an important point to make. This is nothing new. This is nothing extraordinary that you've created. It's not like, you're writing books from scratch.
Right.
This knowledge, this secret, if you will, to success, to the successful mindset, it's always been there. I mean, going back forever, right? And so one of the things that I did many years ago, starting when I had cancer and I was in the hospital for a year, I had some great mentors in my life at the time who basically introduced me to books, everything from, Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich and Having Friends and Influence People and all those, Robert Schuller, people I never heard of growing up because that's just not the kind of family that I grew up in.
Me too.
But I think that's a great start for people watching this is, Les Brown says it best. The first 30 minutes of your day are the most important. That's where your brain is operating at so many gigahertz. And is it wave hertz or gigahertz?
So your alpha waves are slow in the morning and right before, when you first wake up and right before you fall asleep, it's when you're the most susceptible to reprogramming your mind.
What the hell am I saying?
It's when you're the most susceptible to new theories and new beliefs. Right. And it's the easiest way to break. So I usually go to bed, Scott and I will both put our headphones in and do our own meditation visualization. And we use apps because it brings you right through it. And, we actually focus on whatever the issue is at hand that either him or I are working on. So if I'm having a day where I'm struggling with, keeping my diet going and my exercise, and I'll listen to one on being consistent in your diet. They have specific apps with specific amazing, these are like $5 a month for these things. They're tools.
Recommend? What app would you recommend? I'll write them down.
I'd have to exit out of this, but there's one called, I think it's GH. I'll send you if you want to put it in the comments. I have 3 that I use.
Okay, that'd be great.
And let me tell you, you go into a deep sleep. I do it before bed. First thing in the morning is a little tougher for me because my mind goes right into, I got 10 kids in the house and, I got 15,000 people to feed today because we're in quarantine. And, it's like, I got jobs going on and work and I'm negotiating things, with new countries we're opening. And so my mind does in the morning go a little fast. At night is when I cement it and I do my deepest work. But I do read during the day and I do put YouTube on and I put it on in speakers throughout the house. And I listen to all the top thought leaders I can. I listen to a lot of Joel Osteen. He just fires me up. I just ordered I Am Fearless. I can't wait to get that DVD set. I listen to Joy. I listen to a lot of faith-filled people, but I listen to a lot of people who just, they're just amazing. And Les Brown's, which is pretty cool. Les Brown's co-owner of Les Brown's company called me yesterday out of the blue and said, Les saw what you've been doing and how much you brought into his company is, and he wants to do a session with your group. And I was like, yeah, I heard about this. And he's like, no, we're ready to go. He wants to be live with you. And I thought, what an amazing thing to have a phone call like that come in because I was just serving a bunch of people. I was hoping he'd call, but, and I put it out there, but I didn't know where this would go. And that's what I mean by you've got to have intent, you have to have intention. You have to put it out there and know beyond know, and just say to yourself, it's going to happen. I don't know how, but I'm going to keep persevering because it's in it fall down 7, get up 8. I teach my kids all the time. You will fall in life. If you think it's going to be easy, I hate to break it to you. Life has a lot of pain, but suffering is optional and getting up is not optional. You get back up and you keep going because life is a gift and there are going to be some tough lessons in life, but that is where the growth happens. That's where the sweetness in life comes from, is when you've come through that fire and you come out literally polished and you look like gleaming gold, because I have become a different human being and I am not where I want to be yet. I'm not a perfect human being, but I am proud of the work I'm doing. And I am proud of my children for the work they do every day. I'm proud of Scott for the podcast he listens to. I'm proud of the people in our groups that go out and do the work when they could be sitting there, eating bonbons and listening to garbage all day, right? It's you've got to be proud of yourself, not cocky, but be proud of yourself for taking action and for doing the things necessary to live a better life. And as Dr. Phil says, there are generations that are affected by how you raise your kids and what goes on in your home. We are responsible for raising kids to be successful human beings. And we can't help them be successful if we aren't living our best lives. And that means we got to dig deep, get rid of our demons, get rid of the trauma, heal ourselves, forgive everyone, and we got to push forward with love and laughter and live in the moment, but always be moving forward. Even if you have a bad day, even if you have a massive setback, you have to say to yourself, I'm reframing this and I'm going to find what in this pain that's happening, what can I do to make this better for my family, for my kids? And that's where the legacy is. I want my kids to always look back and say, their mom never quit. Their mom always persevered. Their mom always bettered herself. Because that's what I want to leave for them, that she had faith, that she, not that I was a fighter, right? But that I, because that was my whole thing. Oh, I'm a fighter. No, I don't want to be a fighter. I want it to come with ease, right? You want it to be a relaxed thing. So now it's just that mom had it and she was in the zone because she did the daily things to be disciplined. It's a discipline, but man, what a better life it is when you start thinking better and you start seeing the amazing fruit that comes from living better. Let me tell you, it's really fun to see. You start to look out and you're going, I'm not at the bottom of the mountain anymore, inhaling dirt and stones aren't hitting me in the face as much because I've learned how to scale the mountain and I have a better skill set. I have a better mindset and I have a better outlook in life. And then all of a sudden you're at the top of the mountain going, oh, there's a bigger mountain over there. And now that I've accomplished this, I want to go after that mountain. Now you're fired up to overcome or take on another challenge. Now I'm not afraid, right? And do it afraid, people. I was a terrified kid and I was a terrified teenager and I made every excuse under the sun and I lived in victimhood and I felt sorry for myself and I had one of the worst mindsets out there. So if I can do it, you can, but you got to link up with people who think better than you do, who talk better than you do, and have more than you do. And then when you start emulating them and doing the work they do, just like Olympians do, they get up before everyone else and they go to bed after everyone else, and they're training when everyone else is sitting on the couch. That's where the magic is doing it. See, I do it when no one's watching. I don't need to go online and talk about how much personal development I do or what I do to teach my kids. I just do it. Because I'm excited about what happens when I do the work. The minute I slack, let me tell you, it's apparent. It's just like when you stop working out, right?
Yeah, it catches up quick. It's funny you say that in particular because I don't even know what day it is anymore. Like it's May 15th. I really thought it was March. Like I don't even know what happened to April.
I know, it flew.
And I went and I have an app where I track my workouts and I've been working out at home since the gyms closed months ago. And I realized that in the last 4 weeks, I've worked out once. And it was in the back of my mind, like, oh, I used to go 3-4 times a week. And I get on a scale and I'm like 6 pounds heavier. And I'm like, okay, I'm getting fat. My pants are tight. I gotta start working out again.
Delete. Don't say you're getting fat.
Right? You know what I'm saying? No, so, but you're right. It does creep up on you and it's daily discipline. It's a matter of discipline. And I find myself, one of the things that I think is one of the most destructive things you could do is tomorrow. I'll start tomorrow. That's one of my biggest downfalls. Well, I'm going to eat this now because I'll start tomorrow. I'm not going to work out today. I'll start tomorrow. Or worse, it's the weekend. Nobody starts anything on the weekend. I'll start Monday, right?
Yeah.
And so learning how to just have that, like my mom always told me, that trap door come down to your mind and say no, or like in Rocky, there is no tomorrow.
Yes.
I heard a great quote one time. It said that today is yesterday's tomorrow. So tomorrow only exists on the calendars of fools.
Wow.
And I can't remember where I read that or heard that, but it was really powerful. But for you, what would your next step be? I mean, you've already achieved a very large level of success. You're impacting thousands of people's lives.
Thank you.
Are you going to take it to a scale of maybe writing a book or doing videos yourself? And I never asked you this. I'm just curious. What are your plans,
I've actually been writing. I've been told for years I should write a book by so many people. It's ridiculous. So I have been writing.
Okay.
A lot of journaling, a lot of writing. I already see it as published. I used to say, if I get published, I don't speak that way. I've learned when I'm published. I'm excited about that, but it's not about, to me, that's an accomplishment. That's a bucket list thing to say that I, became an author. However, it's really for me, I want to impact so many people. It's not just, I want to write a bestseller. That's not really, I know some people say that that's really the main goal. I want to help set so many people free that the day I slide into, home base and I go see Jesus, because I'm not going in slow. I'm going in sideways. I want to live my best life now. I didn't for so many years that I'm just living I'm like a kid again. I got rollerblades now. I'm putting swing sets in the yard. We want to do stuff that kids do because we're just starting to live again, Yeah. And we realize that time is precious. But for me, it's write a book right now and pass on as much knowledge as I can. Like you said, it's knowledge being passed on. There's nothing new under the sun. Mm-hmm. So that, because I know my delivery is a little different than a lot of the authors and speakers out there. So that's my gift. And I want to help impact as many people as possible. And I want to see, that's what I love. I love people overcoming. I love seeing people set free. I get more fulfillment, not out of a paycheck. Got to tell you, money does not make you happy. It is not fulfilling. You can listen. I just bought some really nice skincare. When it came in, it was like, "Ooh, Christmas!" Yeah, I couldn't afford that before. That's not what makes you happy. It's temporary. True fulfillment comes in seeing you live your best, most peaceful, joyous life in the midst of whether it's a rainy day or not, and also helping set other people free. And for me, Brian, that's it for me. I get my passion out of. It's like church for me. The marketplace is where I want to be. I want to help as many people learn that their mind can be the worst place for them or can be the place that is the most fertile ground for the most growth financially, emotionally, and spiritually. Their relationships will change, their finances will change, their debt will disappear, and they will literally live the life of their dreams. But it's because for me, I get more fulfillment out of seeing people just break free. I get text messages, calls. Yesterday I had this woman, she wouldn't stop on my phone. I love her. And she was just saying, "Do you know what you're doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I didn't really think of it that way." She goes, "You're literally helping set people free." And it was just that's the moment I feel so excited. I don't get my self-worth there anymore. I used to. I learned to get my self-worth in knowing that I'm good enough regardless of what I contribute to the world. That's important, guys, because a lot of us get so attached to our significance that if we lose that, we lose our self-worth. I'm finally learning to love myself where I'm at with no makeup on, messy hair, and Danielle doesn't have to achieve to be worthy and loved. That's where I'm at finally. But man, do I get passionate and fired up about helping people set themselves free. And I love to see them do it. And when they thank me, I say, actually, you did the work just like I did. You got to give yourself some credit. But yes, I passed you on some good juice. Now go pass it on to some other people. That's it.
Right. I remember, and I'm curious if this applies to you too. When I first started reading books of this nature, when I first started listening to people, and even a few years ago, I got away from it for a while, and I got negative. I had some business issues and different things in my life that went down, and it is something you have to work on daily because you can slip back into being, quote, normal quite quickly. And normal, unfortunately, in our society is negative. Right. And I literally found that when I started, okay, I know what to do. So let me go on YouTube and let me start listening to the Joel Osteens and the Les Browns. It irritated me. It irritated me. And I just remember being angry and hearing this stuff. And I think the anger was because I knew it was true. And I felt like I had so far to go to, quote, get there. Yeah. And I'm sure there are people watching this now who maybe feel the same way. They hear all these wonderful things and then they think, oh, it's just a bunch of crap. They know it's not. That's why they're still watching. But right. I guess it's kind of a final, parting thought from you. And this has been wonderful. Where would you suggest people go from here? What would the next step be to kind of really, start working on themselves?
You have to lay down in a quiet space, shut your eyes, and you need to go to YouTube, look up Bob Proctor's video on imagination. And then you're going to go lay down immediately because the power of imagination is where it all takes place. And he teaches you the power of when you see it in your mind's eye, how you can then hold it in your hand. Arnold Schwarzenegger built his whole body on visualization. He also visualized himself winning and receiving the trophy and walking across the stage over 1,000 times before he actually won it. Okay. That's the greatest award you can get in bodybuilding. He won. And he said he saw it in his mind's eye 1,000 times. He pictured himself on stage winning it, but he also used to picture, and with a paintbrush, the way he wanted his muscles to grow here. He wanted to lean out here. Everything was the power of his mind. Go watch an Arnold Schwarzenegger video on visualization. Go listen to Bob Proctor. And then when you lay down, now you'll know and understand. First, you're not going to go do it if you don't understand. That's why I'm suggesting watching those videos. But when you lay down, you shut your eyes, you push out everything, what you have to cook, what you have to clean, what the laundry's doing. You've got to get out of that. Just get out of it for 5 minutes for the sake of your own future. And then I want you to picture, but you need to feel it. I want you to picture yourself at your goal weight. I want you to picture yourself with 0 debt. I want you to picture yourself having discretionary income that you can help others with, and you can go buy that car if you want. I want you to visualize it like it's already yours. If you visualize it as if you're going to get it and you don't attach feeling, there isn't a real change. So that's my suggestion. Go learn about imagination, the power of visualization, then go lay down and visualize it. And then it's got to be put in writing. People think they can skip that part. You have to write down what you want and have a date attached. I have dates attached to everything I want to accomplish this year. And the last few years that I did it, it was crazy how things were just happening because I wrote them down. And I used to say, I'm not writing it down. I know in my head. No, write it down. Make it a discipline. Just write it down fast and say, here's what I want to accomplish by such and such a date. And then you're going to visualize it. And if you have to use the visualization app, man, those are amazing because it's like a teacher in kindergarten teaching you how to do it because, right, we get distracted. So that's my suggestion. That's the kindergarten way of becoming a massive success. You have got to learn that your mind's eye is where you have to have it first. You generate it, you feel it emotionally, and then it starts to manifest. But if you're not running towards your goal and you think you're just going to visualize your way to success, you still have to hustle, you still have to sweat, you still have to fall down, you still have to get banged up. And it doesn't come easy, but man, it comes a lot easier when you're visualizing it first and believing that you're going to cross that finish line. See yourself crossing the finish line. That's it.
That's it. Well, Danielle, thank you. This was jam-packed with nuggets and information, and to the point where, guys, you may want to actually watch this again and take some notes. A lot of you have heard some things for the first time, but again, it's one of those things that this is years of self-development, self-study where Danielle's gotten to where she's at. I knew this would be a wonderful interview and discussion today because you do have so much to give to people, and people who don't know you, and now they do. So thank you for your time.
My pleasure.
And guys, tune in again next week. We'll have another interview with another wonderful guest. And yeah, you guys have a great weekend. God bless you, and we'll see you soon. See you, Danielle.
Thank you.